My business partner just stole 3 million reais from our company. He transferred everything to the Cayman Islands and thought he would get away with it. The problem? I built the software he used to do it. My name is Rafael, and 5 years ago, my best friend from college, Marcello, and I created a fintech startup together. We started in a small apartment with no money, just the idea of revolutionizing the digital payments market. After years of hard work, our company grew to be worth 15 million reais. Everything was going well. Or, at least, that's what I thought. Until one morning, I woke up and discovered that half of the company's money was gone. It all started on a Friday. I was at home having breakfast when I received a strange notification from the bank. It was an alert about unusual financial activity. I opened the app and saw that 3 million reais had been transferred from the company's main account to an account I had never seen before. My heart started racing. I immediately called Marcello. He didn't answer. I called again. Nothing. I sent a message. Nothing. That was already strange because we always replied to each other within seconds. We were business partners, best friends, practically brothers. I decided to go to the office to understand what was going on. When I got there, the place was empty. Marcello's desk was too clean. You know when you can tell someone deliberately removed their personal belongings? That was exactly how it felt. His family photo, his personalized mug, even that stupid little figurine he kept on his desk. Everything was gone. My stomach dropped. I sat at my computer and started investigating. I accessed our corporate banking system and checked the transfer details. The money had gone to an account in the Cayman Islands. The Cayman Islands, that place everyone knows as a tax haven where dirty money disappears. And the name on the account? An offshore company I had never heard of. But what really shocked me was when I saw who had authorized the transaction. It was Marcello's digital signature. At that moment, everything made sense. He had planned this. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't an external hack. It was my best friend, the person I trusted more than anyone, stealing from me. I sat frozen for several minutes, staring at the screen. I couldn't believe it. How could someone I had known for over 10 years, who had been the best man at my wedding, who had cried with me when the company almost went bankrupt in its first year, do something like this? But there was no time to feel sorry for myself. I had to act fast. I called our lawyer and explained the situation. He told me cases like this were complicated, especially when the money had already been moved to a tax haven. Recovering it could take years, if it was even possible. I went to the police and filed a report. They were polite, but I could tell from their tone that they didn't have much hope of getting the money back. That's when I had an idea that changed everything. 3 years earlier, when our company was growing fast, I had developed an internal financial tracking software. It was a tool that monitored all company transactions in real time, generated automatic reports, and most importantly, had an advanced tracing function. That function was designed for emergencies, like if someone hacked our account. The software could trace where the money went, even through multiple layers of international transfers. And guess who had access to that software? Marcello and me. But guess who wrote every single line of code? Me. Marcello knew the software existed. He even used it occasionally to check reports, but he never cared about the technical details. He never wanted to know how it worked behind the scenes. He was the business guy. Sales, investors, meetings. I was the tech nerd, and that was going to be his downfall. I opened the software on my computer. My hands were shaking as I typed the commands. I entered the transaction number he had made. The system went to work. Lines of code appeared on the screen, tracing the path of the money. The transfer left our account in Brazil, passed through a bank in the Cayman Islands, then was split into 3 smaller transfers to make tracking harder. One part went to Switzerland, another to Luxembourg. The last one returned to another bank in the Cayman Islands. But my software could see everything, every movement, every cent. It took me 2 hours, but I mapped the entire path of the money. In the end, I discovered that all of it was concentrated in a single account in the Cayman Islands, registered under a shell company. And through some tricks I had programmed into the system, I was able to identify who had access to that account. It was Marcelo. Only him. Now I had everything. Account numbers, bank names, even the internet banking access logs. Marcelo had been careful, but not careful enough. He didn't expect me to have built something this powerful. But having the information was only the first step. I needed to decide how to use it. I could take everything to the police, sure, but international cases take time, and during that time he could move the money again, hide it better. I needed something faster, more direct. That's when my phone rang. It was Marcelo. My heart almost jumped out of my chest. I answered. "Raphael, brother, we need to talk," he said. His voice was calm, too calm. "You stole $3 million from our company, Marcelo. What exactly do you want to talk about?" "Look, I know you're angry, but let me explain. The company was doing badly. You know that. We were going to lose everything anyway. I just saved what could be saved." That made me even angrier. The company wasn't doing badly. We had just closed a major contract with a bank. We had interested investors. He was lying. "You're lying, Marcelo, and you know it. Think about it, Raphael. That money is gone. It's in a place no one can touch. The police won't do anything. Lawyers won't do anything. Accept it and move on. I'll even split it with you if you want. $1.5 million for each of us. We close the company, and that's it." He was offering me half of the money he stole. Money that was already mine.
The audacity was unbelievable. "No thanks. I'd rather get all of it back." "Don't be stupid, Raphael. You can't recover it." "We'll see." I hung up. My hands were shaking with rage, but my mind was clear. I knew exactly what to do. I went back to my computer and opened a feature of the software I had created years earlier but had never used. It was an emergency tool I had built for extreme situations, like if the company were hacked and we needed to freeze funds immediately. What it did was simple but powerful. It could automatically send alerts to partner banks about suspicious transactions, along with full documentation and traceability. Essentially, I could flag that money as the proceeds of financial crime with all the evidence attached. I configured the system to send alerts to the Cayman Islands bank where the money was, as well as to all intermediary banks involved in the transfers. I attached company documents, the police report, records showing Marcelo had made the transfer without board authorization, everything. But I knew that still wouldn't be enough. Banks and tax havens are used to situations like this. They have expensive lawyers and slow processes. I needed more pressure. That's when I remembered a contact I had made 6 months earlier, an economics journalist named Pedro who had written an article about our company. We had stayed in touch by email. He worked for one of the largest news portals in Brazil. I called him. "Pedro, I have a story for you. A story about corporate fraud, tax havens, and betrayal between business partners. Are you interested?" "That depends. Is it real? Do you have proof?" "I have all the proof. Documents, bank transfers, complete money tracing, everything." "Send it to me. If it's real, we publish today." I spent the next few hours preparing a complete dossier. I didn't use real names at first for legal reasons, but I included all the details. I showed how the money moved, explained the entire scheme, and attached screenshots from the tracking software showing the path of the money. Pedro was impressed. He said it was one of the most well-documented stories he had ever received. He published it that same night. The article exploded. Within hours, it was everywhere. News portals, social media, WhatsApp groups. Our company's name was mentioned, of course, but so was Marcelo's. People started connecting the dots. Investors who knew us began calling, asking what was happening. But the most important reaction happened on the other side, in the Cayman Islands. Banks and tax havens valued discretion. They like operating in the shadows.
The last thing they want is to appear in a news article about fraud schemes. It's terrible for business. The bank holding the money contacted me the day after the article was published. A senior manager, very polite, very professional. He explained that they had seen both the alerts from my software and the news coverage. They were concerned about the bank's reputation and wanted to resolve the situation as quickly as possible. They immediately froze Marcelo's account and opened an internal investigation. Since I had all the documentation proving the money belonged to the company and that the transfer was fraudulent, they indicated they were willing to return the funds as long as I proved I was the legal representative of the company and agreed to not pursue legal action against the bank. That was exactly what I wanted. I sent all the required documents, including the company resolution showing I was now the CEO and sole legal representative after Marcelo had been removed for fraud. The legal process was already underway because I had gone to court the same day I discovered the theft. It took 2 weeks, but the money came back. All 3 million reals, minus international transfer fees, but it was all there, back in the company's account, back where it always should have been.
Meanwhile, Marcelo realized his plan had completely failed. He tried calling me multiple times, sent desperate messages, even sent a 12-paragraph email trying to explain himself, saying he had a nervous breakdown, that he wasn't thinking clearly, that he wanted to return everything. But it was too late. The criminal case was already in motion. With all the evidence I had, plus the media exposure, there was no escape. Federal police took over the case. Marcelo was charged with embezzlement, corporate fraud, and money laundering. The trial was fast. He tried to argue many things, but the evidence was undeniable. The tracking software I had built provided everything. Every transfer, every movement, every login was documented. It was impossible to deny. He was sentenced to 6 years in prison. He lost everything. His reputation, his career, his friends, his family almost abandoned him. All because of greed. The saddest part? He didn't even need to do it. The company was doing well. We were about to close a new investment round that would have brought in far more money than the 3 million he stole. If he had just waited a few more months, we would have become millionaires legitimately. But he wanted a shortcut, and he paid the price. This story taught me several things. First, you never truly know someone. I thought I knew Marcelo. 10 years of friendship, 5 years building a company together. I thought we were brothers, but when the money became tempting enough, he showed who he really was. Second, technology can be your greatest defense. If I hadn't built that tracking software, I would have lost everything. The money would have vanished forever in a tax haven, and I would have had no way to prove anything. Third, you have to act fast in a crisis. If I had frozen, feeling sorry for myself, mourning the betrayal, Marcelo would have had time to move the money again and hide it better. But I acted immediately. Lawyer, police, software, journalist. Every hour mattered. And fourth, justice doesn't always come only from the traditional legal system. Yes, the police and courts mattered in the end, but what truly turned the tables was public exposure and the pressure it put on the bank. If I had relied solely on the legal process, I might still be waiting for the money. The company survived. It wasn't easy. Media coverage scared some clients away, but over time we recovered. I changed the company's name, rebuilt the brand, brought in new investors. Today, 3 years later, the company is worth more than it was before the theft. I hired a new partner, an incredible woman named Anna, who is as good at business as I am at technology. And this time I learned my lesson. All access is monitored, all transactions require dual authorization, and the tracking software is more powerful than ever. As for Marcelo, he served 4 years of his sentence and was released for good behavior. I heard through mutual contacts that he now works a regular job far away from the tech industry. We never spoke again. He tried to send me a letter from prison apologizing, but I didn't reply. Some betrayals are too big to forgive. His legitimate share of the company was frozen by the courts to pay fines and restitution. He didn't see a single cent.
And you know what's ironic? All this time, the only thing he needed to do was be honest, work hard, wait for the right moment, build something real. But he chose what he thought was the easy path. In the end, the only one who truly lost was him. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to the channel.